Hello, and welcome back to episode 5 of the Turning Point podcast. We're at 5 episodes now. Can you believe that?
Oh yeah, we're not doing this monthly. I forgot we did 2 last month. This is episode 5.
This is episode 5. Technically, it's episode 6.
Oh yeah, episode
Technically.
0.
But it's episode 5. That's crazy. We've done 5 of these fucking things.
Woo!
Bloody hell. We're going to be celebrating our 10th one very soon. But yeah, my name is Ben. And once again, I am joined here by Lewin. How you doing?
I'm going well. How about yourself?
Yeah, alright. How's isolation treating you?
Yeah, isolation's fine. I miss work. Didn't
Yeah.
that would ever be a problem with my life, but here we are.
Yeah. Is your work closed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they're non-essential, I guess, so.
Yeah, it's an arcade. We are at a higher health risk than a lot of other places.
Yeah. You'd have to be fucking disinfecting the fuck out of everything all day.
That's how it was for the few days before we shut down. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. Did your, for those who don't know, so essentially, if you're not in Australia, like a few other places in the world, but the Australian government has a wage subsidiary. So did your workplace apply for that at all?
Yes, so hopefully next month I will start getting an income again.
Yeah, so it's going to be, are you casual,
I am
part-time?
casual.
Yeah, more than 12 months though?
Yeah,
Yeah, so then, yeah, you'll be fine then.
Yep.
So it's what, like 1,500 a fortnight, for 6 months, or until they end it,
reopen.
basically. Yeah. Well, it'll be not just that, it's if you do open as well. It's basically until, as our Prime Minister puts it, the health advice declares that you don't need to be paid that anymore, or 6 months. One of the two. But it's cool that it's getting back paid to the start of March, which is nice. Because I'm pretty sure I haven't worked since the first week of March, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure when I last worked. It was around here for something. No, wait, that's
Yeah.
too soon. It was
Yeah, good times,
exactly
though.
right, March. But no,
Yeah.
isolation's going well. How about you?
Just keeping busy. Uni's back into gear and just been doing some online classes, which is a fucking nightmare because my sleeping patterns are completely ruined. So, like, I don't go to bed until, like, 4 a.m.
I know,
And then I don't
man.
get up until, like, midday or anywhere between 11:30 and 1 o'clock. That's when I get up.
Yeah, you and I
So
are on
my
the same
sleeping-
sleep pattern.
Yeah, so sleeping patterns are fucked. And then, basically, I have to get up for class at 8:30 on Tuesday mornings. And that's a fucking struggle. Because not only do I have that class, but I have another class afterwards, so it's literally a whole day of classes. And I actually, because I've been playing. I'll tell you this funny story. So I've been playing Resident Evil 2, right?
Yes.
So I think I've been playing a little bit between Resistance and Resident Evil 2. I think I've been playing a little bit too much Resident Evil because I fell asleep in class the other day, right? And I was at my desk, just nodded off, fell asleep. And basically what happened was, I don't remember what the dream was about. I don't really remember anything, I guess, plot-wise, or like what like actually happened.
Sure.
But what I do remember very vividly is just Mr. X just chasing me the whole time. I remember that very vividly, and the reason why I remember that is because for some weird reason I remember the only part that I remember the most from this dream is the bit where I was just doing circles around the couch while he followed me. That's all I remember. And I was just sitting there. I woke up, and like, by the way, that was fucking terrifying because I woke up and I was like, fucking hell. Like, I was like, oof, that was a big ooft, as the kids say. But yeah, that was my experience on Tuesday this week. Was I fell asleep during class, dreamt about Mr. X chasing me. There was something about a caravan. I can't remember what it was, but there was something about a caravan. And I kind of just hid behind a caravan for a bit. I remember that. And the house turned into a plane.
This is all very unique.
But one constant between everything was that Mr. X was just following me the entire time. You know how when you have like dreams sometimes, I don't know if you have this, but you know how when you have dreams and you're like fucking running, but you're like barely moving?
Oh, yeah.
Does that ever happen to you? Yeah. It was basically that, but just with Mr. X behind me the whole time. Like that fucking footsteps, just boom, boom. Oh, man. That was a lot. It was a lot to take in. And anyway, so I woke up, found out I was only asleep for like 20 minutes too. Like I really wasn't asleep for that long. I didn't really miss much. And then I woke up and looked at the time, and I also looked at the class and found out my internet died during that time. So I just got disconnected from the class. And I was like,
At least something.
yeah, nah, I'm not going back to class. Fuck this. I'm not reconnecting. Got like another hour of class left. I don't care. It's fine. So anyway, that's my story about being chased by Mr. X.
Oh, yeah, I've started having... I can't remember the details of any of mine, at least not as clearly as you can there.
Well, I don't remember like everything. I just remember little bits.
You at least remember the little bits. I don't at the moment, but no, I have been
Yeah.
in that situation thanks to the sleep pattern lately where I end up gaming into the early hours of the morning, and then next thing you know,
Doing some gaming.
hell yeah, I'm a professional gamer. That's a lie. Never take me up on that. But no, yeah, get things that you do in the game or things that happen in the game, just getting into your dream, and you're like, that's probably a sign that I should stop doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think for me, Mr. X was just on my mind because I was playing Resistance, and there was a couple of moments in Resistance where the mastermind playing Mr. X jumped me, and then also on the same day I was playing the Ada bit in Resident Evil 2
Yep.
in Leon's campaign, and I saw Mr. X, he jumped down, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, no worries. And then I go and do the thing. And I don't know why, but I kind of didn't realize how quickly he got towards me.
Oh.
And then I looked behind and he was like right fucking there. And I was like, oh shit. So I ran. And then what happened was I ran, you know, in that bit in that game, right? It's, where you got that like downstairs dark area with like the zombies, and then you take the little lift up and you go through the door or whatever.
Yeah.
So I ran out that door back to the lift because my thought process was if I run back to the lift and then go down, I can lure him down and then just run around, get back to the lift and come up.
Nope.
Yeah, the lift doesn't work, so I just trapped myself in the corner of that fucking thing, and he was just coming at me, and I was like, oh fuck, oh no. And then anyway, so what happened was, yeah, I tried to run past him and he just fucking whacks me, and I just ran for it. I was like, fuck this. And then anyway, so I think the whole circling thing came from, you know, that little room when you open the door where the fan is that you've got to destroy? There's like the boxes and tables in the middle of it. Yeah, so I think I spent like just a good solid 5 minutes just walking around that tables while Mr. X was on the other side following me just for shits and gigs because I thought it was funny. And I guess I didn't think it was that funny subconsciously because when I slept that night and was doing the same thing, I was like, this is fucking scary. Oh, it was good times. Anyway, that's my experience, but I think it was just on my mind. That's why he came up in my dream.
It's beautiful.
Wacky. Yeah, wacky story. That's a good story to start us off, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, anyway, so this episode, God, it's been like fucking forever, and I still haven't said what we're doing this episode. So this
Probably not
episode
that partially ties into it.
does actually, yeah. So this episode we will be talking, following on from our last episode, which was all about the Resident Evil game franchise, not the movie franchise, but the game franchise. We will be talking about two Resident Evil games, kind of. We'll be talking about doing our first impressions. Well, I won't be doing first impressions of Resident Evil 3. Lewin will be, because I haven't played it yet. But one thing I have played...
So.
Yeah, so first impressions.
Oh yeah, got him.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play it several more times before you can do the review, though. You gotta like...
I'll get this 9 times and then I can do this.
Yeah.
On the split, you've been playing Resistance.
I've been playing a lot of Resistance because I thought, since I'm not going to get to play Resident Evil 3 because I haven't finished 2 yet, you'd be doing that, I thought I'd cover the Resistance side. So I played like a week of just non-stop Resistance. Yeah, I've got many thoughts about that game, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, we'll be talking about Resistance and doing some Resi 3 first impressions. But this episode, because presumably Edgar Wright, my favorite director, has a film coming out this year, presumably.
Except for September 25th. Hopefully that doesn't change.
We'll see what happens. But because he's got a film coming out this year, I thought it'd be a fun idea to kind of go through Edgar Wright's filmography on the podcast throughout the year leading up to it.
So that's
And we're gonna
major films, isn't it?
just his films. Yeah,
Yep. We're not touching Spaced or any.
we're not doing Spaced. I started watching Spaced, and I got like 2 episodes in. I was like, I can't do this.
So that's just even though I doubt anyone cares, that's just the small disclaimer. We're doing Scott Pilgrim, we're doing Baby Driver, the Cornetto trilogy, that good stuff.
Yeah. So basically, his film. Yeah. I want to talk about one of his music videos when we do our Baby Driver episode, though.
Fair enough. I'll send me a link to that, and I can catch up on that.
Yeah. We'll do a Baby Driver when we do Baby Driver. But yeah, so this episode we're going to start now. We're not going to do them in order of release. We're just going to kind of do them. So I thought we'd start with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So that's what we're doing this episode. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be doing full spoilers. I mean, that film was 10 years old this year. So
You know how much you just fucked with my head?
What?
For whatever reason, I've never associated Scott Pilgrim to be after 2 of the Cornetto films.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, so we'll be doing that. But yeah, we'll be doing full spoilers for it because, I mean, look, that film's a decade old now. Like, if you haven't seen it, one, what are you doing?
Get
like,
that. Leave this now, go watch it. Come back.
Yeah.
Please come back.
Don't say that because people won't come back.
Please come back.
I mean, to be honest, probably half the audience already tuned out by now anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, so we'll be doing that. But before we do any of that, Lewin.
Yeah.
I want to pose a question to you.
Okay.
Yeah. What have you been up to lately? What have you been doing?
Somehow I should have seen that question coming.
It's in the notes. Do it every episode.
I don't have notes. Not for this episode. What I've been doing lately? I have been playing. I finished my first Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 15, which is now 4 years old. You know, took my
so many Final Fantasy games.
Oh yeah. So I really enjoyed that. Had some issues with the story, mainly near the end. It starts getting a bit all over the place. Good ending, sad ending. But now I've started Final Fantasy 7, and that has been most of my week.
Nice. Yeah, I did see. I saw you playing it. I'm interested to one day play a Final Fantasy game.
I'm gonna be honest. If I were to tell you to play one, I'd say go for the remake.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like every time, because there's so many games.
See, the benefit of Final Fantasy is that none of the game, like besides like a very bare few, almost.
Because I know some of them have like sequels and stuff, but like. I do know that, like, I think it's what all the numbered ones are, like, separate, but then there's sequels to those number ones. Is that it?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
The main one with a sequel is 10, which has 10-2, and 13, which has 2 other sequels. And I think 7 has some sequels, but they're not, like, proper sequels. As far as I'm aware, I don't know.
God, it's like Resident Evil all over again.
But no, 7's like so far the most straightforward one I've played.
Yeah. I like to jump on board with them sometime. But yeah, nah.
It's a big
not anytime soon. Not anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm literally just jumping on board with Resident Evil now. Yeah. I was talking to Tom last night, and I was talking about the story inconsistencies in Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you should play the original. And I'm like, you know what? It's actually on my radar, but my only concern right now is playing 3, and then we'll consider the rest. I do want to play 6 and 7, but yeah.
Sad note about Resident Evil 2, the original. As of today, on the day we're recording, So the 18th of April, just to give everyone a timestamp, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the original voice actor for Leon passed away.
I did see that. Yes. That's. I mean, look, I have no connection to that game, so I have no idea how his performance was. But from what I've seen, the Resident Evil community is like, fuck. So that's pretty sad.
Just figured I'd bring that up since we're on
Just throw that in there.
too.
Let's just make this podcast real depressing.
I'm sure you did a great job.
Yeah, well, I haven't played it, so I can't really comment on that. But yeah, that's sad. But I mean,
life is.
I'll get there eventually, and I guess it'll make me appreciate his performance a lot more when I eventually do get there. So, is what it is. What else have you been up to though? You've been playing Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. Watched Good Omens.
Yeah,
good series.
It's on my list to watch.
Good series. 6 episodes. You can clear through it in like a day.
And it has two of my favorite British actors in it, Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
They are brilliant in that series.
God, every time I see Michael Sheen though, I'm always like, because the thing that I associate him with the most is the Underworld films, playing Lucian.
Okay.
And that's what I associate with him. Good movies, man. Great movies. Probably on the same.
Probably on the same.
I would say that they're very similar to the Resident Evil films in a lot of ways, except for one, that they don't have a bullshit continuity. They can actually follow a continuity. So there's that. But it's like very similar in terms of like what type of movie it is, just kind of like an action film, made by the same studios, things like that. So there's a lot of similarities between those two franchises. Like with Resident Evil, some characters just come and go. There's one episode where our main character, played by Kate Beckinsale, has a daughter in one film, and then that daughter's just not present again in the following film. She's just gone. So there's little things. Oh, and then there's the other main character from the first two films, who's in the fourth one, but isn't played by the same actor and is only in it for a few moments, and then is just gone.
I see.
And then that film ends where it's like, he's escaped from the thing, and now I've got to go find him. And then the next film, they just don't bother finding him. He's just gone. It's great. But I love those films. I love them a lot. They're a lot better than Resident Evil.
Not difficult. The main thing I remember Michael Sheen for is actually, even though I know him for a lot of things, I mainly remember him for Tron Legacy as Zeus.
Is he in that?
Yeah, he's the club owner.
Huh. I've seen that movie once.
I've seen that movie plenty of times. I love Tron Legacy.
Yeah, I have no desire to ever watch it again, but
you.
Yeah. I didn't say it was bad or anything. I just said I have no desire to watch it again. I mean, you can take that how you will.
I like that. I've judged your entire life in 5 seconds. Nice.
Based on Tron Legacy. Nice. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching. I'm looking forward to watching Good Omens, though.
Good shit.
And Michael Sheen is in Doctor Who as well.
What?
He plays House.
Does he?
He voices House in The Doctor's Wife.
Directed by Neil Gaiman, or written by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
That's a nice connection.
So there you go, then.
I had no idea about that.
Yeah. And do you know what else is connecting in that episode? Is that we see the 10th Doctor's TARDIS.
Holy shit.
Just all connects, doesn't it? I was actually watching, there's a video on YouTube which is basically like tracing every actor back to Doctor Who. And he was just going through a list of actors. Like in the thumbnail, he had like Kevin Bacon. And just like, tracing them back based on their connections and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun.
If you're a British actor, you can find them in Doctor Who or Harry Potter.
Yeah. Most of the time in both.
Yeah.
John Blumick was in that Harry Potter
Yeah, it's
4
using Goblet of Fire with David Tennant.
with David Tennant.
It's one of my favorite connections is that David Tennant plays his son in Goblet of
Yeah.
Fire.
And then, like, literally a couple of years later, they were, like, in Doctor Who.
It's it's why I love David Tennant in Doctor Who as much as I do, because I recognized him as that one guy from Harry Potter.
That was in Harry Potter for, like, 5 minutes, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
less.
I was like, he's the guy from Harry Potter. I'm like, that's a recognizable person, therefore I'm attached to this person. And that is how David Tennant became my favorite Doctor.
There we go. You heard it here first. But yeah, that's cool. Good Omens is on my list to watch, though. I really want to check it out. I've seen a lot of like clips from it, like some compilation videos and stuff on YouTube of just like interactions between Lucifer and what's Michael Sheen's name?
Aziraphale.
Gabe. Yeah, interactions between those two. And they look fun. I want to watch more of that. That looks fun.
It is good fun.
Yeah. Towards the David Tennant series, I need to watch, though. I need to catch up on. I need to watch Broadchurch Season 3. I haven't watched that
Season
yet.
3 is better than Season 2 to me.
Mm.
Both don't match up to Season 1, though.
No, Season 1 like is the best. It's so good. I really want to watch Grace Point just for shits and gigs.
Is it... David's in that too, isn't it? Isn't he like the same character, just in a different continuity?
He's playing the same character, but his character is American.
Mm.
And it's just the same story, but in America. And yeah, I also written by Chris Chibnall.
Wait, what?
And I was also like, what is the point of this? Why are we just doing the same thing again? And it's not even like it's a bad American remake. Like I haven't watched it, I've just seen clips. But from what I've seen from reviews and stuff, that it is literally almost shot for shot exactly the same. So it's like, why bother? Why not just play Broadchurch?
Why expand your marketing campaign for one show when you can make an entirely new show?
Fuck's sake. It's weird. It's weird too, like watching that trailer and just hearing David Tennant with an American accent is weird. Like, it's just odd. Like, I can handle his Scottish accent, I can handle his English, but the moment he starts talking American, I'm like, don't know how I feel about this. But yeah, it's like, we will catch whoever did this. It's like, shut the fuck up, David Tennant. Fuck's sake. Anyway, that's a little rant. But yeah, fun times. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's on my list to watch. I've got Amazon Prime, so I'm probably gonna watch it at some point. I'm right now. What am I watching? Oh, yeah, I'm just watching Doctor Who right now. So, I'm started rewatching.
Bring up Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, that's basically what this is. But yeah, I'm rewatching Doctor Who because we'll be doing a future episode at some point later on down the line, talking about, I guess, ranking the seasons of the new Who. So I'm kind of rewatching them to kind of get a new perspective. Plus, I haven't watched them in a while, so it's a good excuse just to rewatch them through. So I'm currently watching through series 2 with David Tennant. Hence why I brought it up. But yeah, I've been doing that. But I've been playing it. I've been doing a few things actually. I've been playing Doctor Who: The Eternity Clock.
As have I. You started and I joined in on this crusade.
I'm gonna save my thoughts for my video, but I played through the Silence level last night on the Silence ship as River. And I have to say I quite enjoyed that level. That was a fun level. I really liked how it kind of changed up the pace of the game a bit compared to going against the other enemies. Because Silence is a very hard thing to do in video games anyway. So I think they pulled it off really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I like the game though. I'm not 100% sure yet. Yeah, I haven't made up my mind yet because I haven't finished it. But
I am.
there's elements I like. There's a lot of elements I like, but I just find the puzzles shit,
They,
and I find the platforming shit.
that's
And
correct.
and there's do you know that bit where like whenever you find a piece of the eternity clock, you have to do this like platforming bit in the time vortex to reach the TARDIS?
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's just so bad. I don't get what that is. Like, why wouldn't you just time corridor into the TARDIS? Why do I have to jump along all these platforms and rotate these platforms? And,
The Eternal
I
Clock
hate it.
follows Season 11, Season 12 logic. The TARDIS must be as
Yeah,
far away from you as possible.
it's so annoying. But overall, though, like, there's a lot of elements I like about the game. And yeah, and I'll save my thoughts for my video that I'm going to be making on it. But yeah, I would say I'm enjoying it a little bit. There's a lot of like just it feels like Doctor Who. Like when I'm playing it, I'm like very much like, yeah, this actually like feels like Doctor Who. You know, it's kind of like the adventure games in that aspect where it like feels like an episode of Doctor Who. I don't really know if the format of the puzzle platformer really works. But you know, I reckon they should have just done the adventure games, but with a bigger budget.
Agreed.
Fun fact about that though, it was made by Supermassive Games, who have gone on to do Until Dawn, which is one of my favorite games that I've played in recent memories.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
No, not the Until Dawn part. Did they actually make that?
Yeah. That was their next game after the Eternity Clock.
No. Hold on. I'm searching
Yeah,
searching this up.
they did Until Dawn, and they're also doing whatever the horror games they're doing now, the Dark Pictures or whatever fucking.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
How did they get so
yeah, they
big?
did. They did Hidden Agenda.
Don't they have
They've
like a
done a
new
lot.
Man of Medan or Dark Anthology or whatever the hell it is coming out this year?
Yeah, they've got the Dark, because they had Dark Pictures, fucking what was it? The Dark Pictures, Man of Medan last year, and then they've got a new one coming out this year as well. And yeah, they've also done a few VR stuff as well, which is pretty fun. So they've done a few things.
What damn. That was a learning
Yeah, but
experience for me today.
yeah, they also did a Killzone game on the PlayStation Vita.
I own that. It's the game I forgot I owned for 3 months after I bought it.
But yeah, so that's fun. So I mean, I'm glad that they've really improved, because I think the Eternity Clock's probably the weakest thing they've made. But yeah, no, I'm enjoying it to a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been playing that. I've been playing. Obviously, I'm still in keeping up with the continuity. Speaking of continuity, keeping up with the continuity of this podcast, I'm still playing Resident Evil 2. But now I've finished Claire's campaign, and I've played the majority of Leon's campaign, and I'm pretty much at the last part of the nest of Leon's campaign. So I'm almost finished. So this is probably going to be the last podcast where I mention that I'm playing Resident Evil 2 still. But yeah, so that's cool. So I'm nearly finished that. I've been playing Resistance, which we'll talk about soon. And I also started playing, Assassin's Creed Syndicate again.
That's topical.
Yeah. So I've been playing
No one
a
in
bit of
the
that.
no one who's watching this video will understand. We were literally talking about Syndicate, what, 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, we were before we started recording. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've been playing that because I'm kind of playing through that game because it's the 5-year anniversary this year of Syndicate. And I kind of want to do a video on it. So I thought I'd play through that. I'm not recording every part of it. I'm just recording the campaign. So at the moment, I've just been kind of going around doing all the liberation stuff. just to level up Evie and Jacob a bit.
Yeah.
And then when I've done all that in the area that I'm up to, I'll then grab out the Elgato and record me playing through the levels, and I'll just do it like that. So rather than just recording, like with the Eternity Clock, I'm recording just me playing it every time I play it, where with this I'm just kind of like, okay, I'll just do the side stuff, and then when I'm ready to do the main stuff, I'll record. But yeah, no, I enjoying that game. I've played it a couple of times. It's probably it's the only Assassin's Creed besides Assassin's Creed 2 that I played multiple times. So
I've played
yeah,
each of them besides Origins and Odyssey twice, I think.
I haven't even finished Origins.
Origins is fucking great. Odyssey.
Look, I like Origins as a game on its own, but to me, it's just not Assassin's Creed.
No, that's a fair argument.
And I just I mean, I know a lot of like especially the real hardcore Assassin's Creed crowd don't really consider any of the games post the Ezio kind of era Assassin's Creed, and I get that. I get their arguments and I get what they're saying, but the thing about the later games pre-Origins, like Syndicate, Unity, even Black Flag to a certain extent, and 3, like, when I play them, and Rogue, of course, when I play them, they still have that Assassin's Creed feel to it. Like, they still play like an Assassin's Creed game. And even though by that point in the franchise, they started kind of veering off and trying different things, with Black Flag. Like, Black Flag really isn't much of an Assassin's Creed game either, but like, those Assassin's Creed elements that are in it still feel like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
And like, I think Unity and Syndicate still very much feel like an Assassin's Creed game. I think Syndicate kind of pushes the more, I guess, the comedy side of things. Like, it's a bit more of a comedic
tries to
game.
Reconnect with, yet again, the Ezio trilogy.
Yeah.
It sort of succeeds.
Yeah, but like, it kind of does that, and then Unity very much updates the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. Like, we don't have to go through it, but like, I get the argument.
Great episode now.
I get the arguments of what they're saying about Assassin's Creed 1, 2, whatever. But like, to me, they just all feel like Assassin's Creed games. Until you get to Origins. Origins, to me personally, and I actually really liked Origins as a game. Here's my issue. I found it very boring, like the actual story part of it. I really didn't care, but I enjoyed the game. But again, the game itself just does not feel like Assassin's Creed. It feels so far from what Assassin's Creed is that I just really cannot get on board with it as an Assassin's Creed game. Take that and the fact that I really don't like, and here's an unpopular opinion, but I really don't give a shit about Bayek as a character either. So I just kind of lost interest after a while.
Fair enough.
But it was a game that I did revisit in small bursts, but yeah, I could never bring myself to finish it. And after hearing, and when I heard that Odyssey was going to be more of the same, it was going to be bigger, and then of course Odyssey came out and we heard it's complete trash, then I was just like, yeah, I'm tapping
Odyssey
out of this
is
franchise.
Also good. The problem with Odyssey is it's too big. The world is fucking dead.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, I've watched a lot of like Assassin's Creed based YouTubers, and they basically just hate it. They hate it so much. And like, to me, because it causes a lot of continuity issues in the Assassin's Creed lore. So like, I mean, look, listen, it's fine, whatever. I'm never gonna play Odyssey. I have zero interest in playing that game. I'm probably never gonna finish Origins. And to be honest, I think I'm kind of tapping out of the franchise at this point. I just don't care anymore. But if an Assassin's Creed game comes along that is kind of in a setting that I like, like if they do a main Assassin's Creed game in like Japan or in like China or something, then yeah, I might come back on board for it. But if the next one's gonna be Vikings, which I think it's gonna be, I don't care. I don't give a shit about Vikings. I don't want to play Assassin's Creed Vikings. I want to play Assassin's Creed, not a fucking Viking game. Anyway, whatever. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, I've been playing Syndicate. What else have I been doing? There's something else I was doing, and I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, because I can't remember what I was doing. So yeah, I watched a few movies, but most of them I watched. What did I watched? Mainly just a few movies for uni, which I thought were all right. I can't remember the names now. They're all foreign films. Oh, and I actually, yeah, I keeping with the theme. I watched. I've been rewatching the Resident Evil films in isolation, and I am so excited to get to the final chapter. I cannot wait. I so fucking excited. I'm going to drink alcohol and I'm going to watch the final chapter and I'm going to just laugh at its existence and I can't wait. Like we've gone beyond the point where remember when I made my Assassins. Remember when I made my Resident Evil video on the film franchise? I was pissed off. Like that film pissed me off.
Yep.
Now I'm over it and I just don't care. I just want to watch the final chapter and have a fucking laugh at just how bad it is.
I don't blame you.
So yeah, I'm excited to get that. I've watched the first 3 so far. So I literally watched Resident Evil Extinction last night, which is the best one. Easily the best one. It's also the best directed one as well because Paul W.S. Anderson didn't direct the second and third one. And while I didn't think that there's a lot of things that annoy me about the direction and cinematography in the second one, but in the third one, there's some fucking great cinematography in it, and also the acting is a lot better, and the direction is a lot better in the third one than in the rest of the franchise. So it's my favorite film. That's the one where it's like set in a desert.
Yep, I know. It's the last one to watch.
Yeah, it's the best one. It is the best one. There is no other Resident Evil film that is better than that. Like, I mean, you could maybe argue the original, but like, ugh. Do you know what's a fun fact about that film? That film has Claire Redfield and Carlos in it, right?
Yep.
Because Carlos is also in the second one as well. Originally, Claire Redfield wasn't meant to be in the third movie. It was meant to be Jill Valentine.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, so it was the way it was meant to be is we were going to cut... Because when you think about it in the story, it's like Carlos and Alice reuniting after 5 years. Because the third film was set 5 years after the second film.
Yeah.
But yeah, instead of it being Claire Redfield's convoy of survivors, it was meant to be Jill Valentine's. But the actress, Sienna Gullery, wasn't available for the third film. She had other filming commitments and they couldn't schedule around it. So they had to change out Jill Valentine for a different character. So they changed it to Claire Redfield instead. But yeah, that kind of... I kind of wish it was Jill Valentine because it would kind of give those films a little bit more of a continuity, because Jill Valentine kind of just disappears until the fifth film when she comes back as like bad Jill Valentine. And I kind of wish that they had her at least in this film, because then that kind of gives, and then introduce Claire in the fourth film, and then because that's when they bring in Chris Redfield as well.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it is what it is. But I do like Claire Redfield in the movies. I think out of all the video game characters to appear in those films, I think Claire Redfield's probably the best, most realized one. Like Jill Valentine's pretty good as well, but again, I don't know a hell of a lot about the games in terms of like her characterization, but the general consensus is like I see a lot of Resident Evil fans actually praise Jill Valentine in the films, but I see a lot of Resident Evil fans at the same time be like, no, she's not that good. But like just me personally, Claire is the character from the games I've had the most exposure to, so I would say probably her film version is probably the most
accurate,
like the games. Yeah. I wouldn't say accurate, but I would say in terms of like, it's the closest any of those characters get. Like Ada Wong is in the fifth film. She barely says anything and she's just kind of there.
Yeah, I saw a tiny bit of the fifth film. Specifically, I think it's a scene between Wesker, Ada, and Jill, and Alice or something. It's like a standoff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ada wasn't acting like Ada.
Yeah. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure the actress that played Ada didn't do the voice. I'm pretty sure they dubbed her with a different voice as well.
Ouch.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they had that's one of my big problems, is that film introduces Leon S. Kennedy, who's also, I don't think that good, but it also introduces some characters from the first game as well, like Barry, And then all those
Disappear.
yeah, Leon, Jill. I was talking to Tom, right, and I actually was reading up online what happened to the film version of Jill Valentine, and so basically, in between the fifth and sixth film, when they're at the Washington, like the White House,
Yeah.
Wesker impales her with tentacles that come out of his arm.
Oh, good. Ouroboros. Okay.
Yep. So he impales her, digs them into her eyes, and basically mushes her brain. Um, and yeah, she just dies.
Is
But
like a
she somehow,
novelization of the movie or something, or
yeah. So this is in the novelization for the final chapter, and it explains what happened to Jill Valentine in between films, since Jill isn't in the last film. And it's like, I'm like, okay, so you just killed Jill Valentine off screen in a really dumb way, because the whole mushing of her brain thing doesn't kill her. She's still alive long enough to allow Alice to escape, and then to give Alice time to escape, and then she
corpse?
dies. I don't think there's any explanation for what happened to Leon or Ada though, because they're kind of just there, but then they're gone. So I don't know. It's dumb. It's a dumb fucking movie anyway. Fuck final chapter and fuck its novelization. Fucking both. Anyway, so yeah, I've been watching through there, but I'm really excited to get to the final chapter. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. But yeah, do you know what else I've been doing?
What have you been doing?
I have this in the opposite order on my notes, but we might as well just go with it. I've been playing Resistance, a lot of Resistance,
Yep.
Resident Evil Resistance, and that's the new multiplayer Resident Evil game. If you listen to our last episode, you will know that Resident Evil hasn't exactly had the most success with multiplayer entries. So this is the latest attempt at a multiplayer Resident Evil game, and you know what? I like it. It's a lot of fun. I've been playing it a lot. It's one of those games that the more I've played it, the more I like it.
Mm.
Like when I first started playing it, I was like, I'm not too sure about this, but I don't know, I kind of just got really into it after a while. So essentially the way and you've played a little bit of it, but
Yes,
the way yeah, we played a cheeky little bit. But basically the way Resistance works is you have 5 people per game. There's 4 survivors and 1 mastermind, and so the mastermind has control of the cameras, and he spawns in all the zombies, and whatever. And then basically the 4 survivors have to just go through the map, find the clues to each puzzle, or complete whatever objective, and go through each level to escape. Right. And that's basically it. Not much more to it than that. But I will say this. It's interesting because I watched a video by Jim Sterling, and he was like, Resident Evil is Resistance is a lot of fun, but he's like, it's a bit shit, isn't it? In that kind of Jim Sterling voice. And I kind of agree with him in a lot of sense. Like I find the general gameplay pretty fun compared to it's very different compared to a Resident Evil game in terms of how your weapons and things work. But I don't know, like I find it a lot of fun just to go through, and I have a lot more fun playing as survivors, mainly because my big issue with the game is I cannot get a game as the mastermind for the life of me.
Yeah. What was it? You sent me a picture actually. 50 minutes?
I spent 50 something, I think it was like 57 minutes in the lobby screen waiting for a game, and in that entire time not one single player joined, and I was specifically searching for mastermind. I wasn't just searching for both. And then I tried again, and I spent so long waiting in a lobby trying to get a game as mastermind, and I've managed to play as mastermind twice. The first time was the first ever time I ever played it, and in my opinion, the game doesn't do a very good job at teaching you how the mastermind mechanics actually work.
Okay.
And so I jumped into that game and I was like, fuck, I have no idea what the fuck is going on here. And so anyway, basically I got my ass kicked as the mastermind. The survivors just went through very quickly. But I did learn a little bit more, so I was a little bit more prepared for the next time. And the main reason why I wasn't so prepared is because I don't think the tutorial does a very good job at teaching you. Like, it teaches you the basics, but it really doesn't teach you how to play the mastermind. And also the game has like practice modes for both survivor and mastermind, right?
Yep.
And the practice mode for survivor is pretty good. It's a good way just to get in and just get more familiar with the levels and things like that. As mastermind, it's fucking terrible. The practice mode is awful. Like, the AI, and I don't know if they've fixed this now because I haven't done it in a while, but like, the AI don't do anything. They just stand there. And it's like, how are you meant to practice being the mastermind if the AI don't do anything? You know, like, and so I was like, well, this is a bit shit. So I there's some of my issues with the game is that waiting to get a game as mastermind is incredibly long. It's ridiculous, and you spend, so far my experience playing this game is I've spent about probably a good 50% of my time in the lobby waiting screen, and probably only about 5-10% playing as mastermind, and the rest has been playing as survivors because I just cannot get a game. And I've tried so much. I've tried just going for just auto, because there's an option when you're searching for a game which auto allocates you either mastermind or survivor. So I've tried doing that. I've tried searching specifically for mastermind, and I just can never get a game. And then the second time I did manage to get a game after waiting, like, I had 4 attempts at scanning specifically for mastermind, and what I did was I kept waiting until it got about 15-20 minutes, and then I just reset the lobby.
Yeah.
And I had 4 attempts, and after 4 attempts I finally got a game, and then my internet decides to disconnect during the game, so I barely got to play it, and I have not been able to get a game since. And I've been trying, literally every time I log in to play that game, I will try and search specifically for mastermind games for a bit before I just give up and go play Survivor, because at least Survivor I can get games relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Although waiting times for Survivor can be pretty long as well sometimes.
The matchmaking, the one part I do know from the beta, actually, when the beta had a bit of naff trouble with it. They had to shut down the PlayStation beta and the Steam beta early because matchmaking wouldn't work. A friend of mine and I hopped on when the beta was meant to start, and we spent 50 minutes, like you, waiting for a Survivor game.
Yeah.
And the thing was, no one was ever going to find a game. The PS4 matchmaking was fucked. And then they didn't restart it until like 3 days to release.
Yeah, I just think it's the biggest criticism I have of the game is the matchmaking, the wait times. You know, when you're spending... And it is enough. Like, I would say if I wasn't going to talk about it for the podcast, I would have given up on that game entirely, and I would have just come back at a later stage. When the matchmaking is a bit better. Because I really, like, when, as a gamer, like, for me, the biggest turnoff is, with any multiplayer game, is if I'm spending the majority of my time sitting in a lobby, then... You know, and not only that, but also, like, I really, with Resistance, like, coming into this, I haven't played 50% of the game. You know, I've barely played as Mastermind, and Mastermind is a full half of what that what Resistance experience is, and I can't talk about it because I haven't had a chance to play it properly, you know, and... But I will say, based on what I know, you know, the mastermind mechanics is pretty straightforward. You kind of, you know, you have... Mastermind's a lot more about strategy than it is, you know, so you'll have your map. You can kind of pick where the items are on the map, and then you have your little cards. You have like a deck of cards, right?
Yeah.
And your deck of cards give you your different abilities. So on what you can spawn in. So you can take control of turrets on cameras and shoot them. You can spawn in zombies, zombie dogs. You can spawn in lickers. You can spawn in all sorts of stuff. But each mastermind has their like an ultimate ability, right? And so, for there's multiple different masterminds. One of them is ultimate ability is like this kind of, I guess, force field type laser thing. I don't know what it does, because every time I see it, I'm like, I'm not gonna go near that because it's probably gonna kill me. But I assume it kills you if you run into it. I don't.
Spencer, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with the masterminds because, again,
You can't
like in
play
terms
them.
of, yeah, like I know when I versed them, but the only ones I know is when you get Mr. X.
Yeah, of the 6 rounds, what, 5, 6 rounds that you and I played together? I think it was
We played a
Alex
few,
and
yeah.
Daniel were the most frequent.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the ones that I see all the time. There's also the one
Oh, Annette as well.
Annette, yeah. Annette has Birkin. And I would say out of all the games I've played as a survivor, the ones I've gone up against the most is Annette and fuck, what's the one with Mr. X again?
Daniel, I think.
Daniel, yeah. They're the two I've gone up against. I very rarely go up against Spencer or the one with the plants or whatever. Look, listen, I don't know. All right, but what surprises me is people are fucking level. Like I got into a game with a level 20 something Annette, and I was like, how the fuck are you leveled? How?
You've just found the person auto spamming X on the mastermind, joining what is the reason you can't get in.
I just don't get how people are leveling up so quickly. Like even Tom's gotten more games than I have. I just cannot get a game. So annoying. Anyway, that's Masterminds. That's a bit of fun.
On the subject of not getting a game or getting into a game, one of the more frequent things I noticed while you and I played, it had this little pop-up that kept showing up saying unable to connect to Mastermind, or unstable connection to Mastermind, or something.
Yeah, unstable connection to Mastermind.
That
Yeah,
was very
yeah. I have.
frequent.
Yeah, that's literally appears on my screen 99% of the games I play. I think I've had a few games where like it doesn't, but the majority of it, that's just on the screen the whole time. For me, it hasn't really affected the experience though, which has been pretty good. But occasionally you'll be playing a game and you might have like a disconnection issue. So like maybe one of your team of survivors might disconnect, so you're down a person. But yeah, there's a lot of connection issues, and I do hope it does get fixed. The matchmaking, the server issues, all that kind of thing, I hope do get fixed over time. Because I'm kind of starting to lose interest in the game now as well. And I've kind of gone back to playing Resident Evil 2 and doing other things just simply because I played it for a week and I'm just sick of waiting for games, to be honest. So I'm kind of hoping that. But yeah, they've got what are it, 5, 6 survivors,
6 survivors,
something like that.
I think
So there's there's Valerie, January, Becca, Samuel, and then there's the 2 other guys that I haven't played as at all yet. Yeah, and now, of course, at the time of recording this, there's now Jill Valentine as well, has been added into game, which I haven't had the chance to play as yet. And I kind of expecting Jill is going to be one of those characters that is spammed a lot, so I'm kind of expecting not to get the chance to play as her for a while. But it's good because it'll free up some of the other characters for me to level up, because the main ones I play is Becca, Valerie, and January. No surprise, all the female characters. But those 3 characters, out of all the characters and their abilities, they're the 3 that I'm like, these characters have the best abilities. And I feel like all the male characters really have terrible abilities. Like, I think Samuel's probably the best one, because he's got that like punching ability where he can just take on people with his fists and shit.
Yep.
But like and based on what I've seen on Twitter and stuff, I feel like that's the general consensus is the three female characters have the best abilities in the game. Like Valerie is your support, so she has that healing ability. Becca has January can hack cameras, which is super helpful.
When they know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, you do it when like there's like a mastermind with a turret or something. You fucking hack the camera while they're using the turret, or when you're in a room with an objective and stuff. And then Becca has that amazing unlimited ammo ability that she can use, which is fantastic when you're in like a really sticky situation. You just pump out that ability. It's all about like one thing I've noticed is it's like Overwatch and many other games with abilities. It's all about timing.
Yeah.
You've got to get the timing right. And so I always save Becca's unlimited ammo ability for when it's desperately needed. But yeah, I mean, there is a bit of strategy to playing as a survivor too. Like, I've tried different strategies because obviously you only get so much umbrella credits.
Yeah.
So every time you go to the box, you've only got so much you can spend on. So it's a case of, well, do you prioritize getting a weapon? Do you prioritize getting herbs? Do you prioritize getting melee weapons? And I've kind of played a few different styles. So, a lot of my main style when I first started playing the game was just get weapons and go for whatever the best weapons are and get ammo, right?
Yeah.
But as I played the game a bit more, I've now kind of transitioned to going, well, for the first level, get like a torch or a melee weapon, and that's kind of what you use.
Yeah.
Because the base pistol you get is fucking useless. But, it gives you a chance to stock up on the herbs that you need, because like with hold on, there's a fucking little bug flying around. With this game I've noticed, once I've figured out what the herbs do and the best times, I always stock up on blue herbs and I always stock up on greens. And you can't mix them together like you can in the main Resident Evil games, but there's also the yellow ones as well, which gives you like kind of a boost, right?
Yeah.
So my kind of strategy at the moment is go for a melee weapon, stock up on your herbs, and then when you get to the next round, then usually I would buy the quick fire pistol. And then that's when I'd start looking into weapons. But I'd always make sure I've got blue and green herbs at least, because the blue herbs are so handy, because a lot of the time, especially, you don't get them with the lower level masterminds, but once you kind of unlocked a few levels and they've unlocked that ability, you can get infected, and infecting really can affect your character, so having blue herbs is super fucking useful. But then I've also tried playing the game, by focusing on herbs, focusing on melee attacks, but I also go for weapons and stuff as well. So, it really depends. I've kind of started going for the supply zombies that drop like the rocket launchers and shit. I didn't used to bother with them, but now I'm trying to like actively seek them out when they appear.
Yeah.
Because it's really good when you get like a rocket launcher, you can just shoot that at especially you save it for when the mastermind uses their ult or something. I really enjoy the gameplay, and like the more you play it, obviously the more you understand the levels. So, and not that easier it becomes, because again, it really comes down to the strategy of the game. Like how does the mastermind, how do they use their abilities? If you're going up against a shit mastermind, it's kind of and if you have shit teammates, it's It's a very quick shitty experience.
That's the beauty of games like this and Overwatch, I'll say, is
Yeah.
your level doesn't dictate how good you are.
Yeah, you really need to be good at, like, in this game specifically, like, if you have a really good mastermind that's really challenging, and you've got a good team of survivors, you can have some amazing games. Whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter. Like, those games are fucking great. But yeah, like it's kind of a hit and miss thing, and it's kind of crap because you get XP boosters as well, and it's kind of like a luck of the draw thing, because you can use an XP booster, but it only exists for one game. So it's like, well, do you use it? Because if you have a shit game, it's not really worth it, is it? But you don't know. So it's kind of like my criticisms of the game mainly come from just the waiting, the lobbying.
It's a perfectly good game marred by bad netcode.
Yeah, and I hope it's fixed. And I hope to get a chance to play as Jill Valentine too. I'd really like to suss out what she does. But they are going to be updating the game. We're getting a new mastermind in May. So and then they've got plans for June onwards. So they've got a bit of a roadmap for like the game and what they're doing. So hopefully they can.
So is this one of those games that you hope gets fixed so that you can get back to it, or is
Yeah,
it's
basically.
not drop and leave?
I want to keep playing it, but at this point, I've kind of lost interest until they kind of fix it a bit. I'll probably play a few games and hope to try and get Jill Valentine, just so I can experience that thing. But right now, I've kind of just like, yeah, I'm over it.
All right.
But we'll see what happens later on. But yeah, it's a fun game. I would definitely recommend playing it. It's if you're, I compare it to Rainbow Six Siege a lot because it's very similar to Siege in the sense that like you've really got to have a good team that know what they're doing to really get the most out of the experience. And that's the same with like Rainbow Six Siege. I wouldn't say it's the same for Overwatch or games like that, because a lot of the time you can just kind of play it
on your own merit.
Yeah, and you can just have kind of fun with that game, like most of the time I play Overwatch, I play Widowmaker and that's about it. Or if I'm kind of just feeling like chilling, I'll just play as Mercy and that's it. Just simply because I don't care. But sometimes when I want to play, like really get into playing Overwatch, I get it. But like Rainbow Six Siege isn't like that. Like Rainbow Six Siege is very much a game where that relies on your team. You need to have a good team. You need to have a good strategy. Even if you're not communicating with each other, if you have people that know what they're doing and know how to effectively utilize their role in the team, then you can have some fantastic games. And this is kind of the same. You really need to have a team. Even if you're not communicating with each other, if you have a team that know what their role is, know when to use their abilities, kind of know what they're doing, you can have some fantastic games. So, yeah, I definitely check. I know a lot of Resident Evil fans don't like this game, but you know what? I have a lot of fun with it, and yeah, definitely suggest playing it.
All right.
Just fix your fucking matchmaking. That's all I have to say about it.
That's fully fair criticism.
Yeah. But before we move on to Scott Pilgrim, there is a quick. We want to quickly talk about the other half of the experience, which is Resident Evil 3.
For those who
now, I haven't played this, so I have nothing to say about it.
Me here.
Yeah.
I know everyone was really hyped for Resident Evil Resistance, and Resident Evil 3 coming out was a big shock. No one cared, but here we are. It came out. Resident Evil 3, what can I say? First impressions, right?
Yes, you've played it many times,
yeah,
but these have to be...
This will probably give everyone an indicator that I finished it 4 times in one day.
I guess, okay, rather than first impressions,
overall thoughts
because it's not quite the right words, I think just like spoiler-free thoughts.
Yes.
Overall thoughts, yeah, keep it brief.
Yeah, okay, so, Resident Evil 3.
We'll cover, before you do, we will cover Resident Evil 3 properly at some point.
Once he's finished it?
I want to play it. Yeah. But I've heard it's a short game too, yes. So chances are maybe next episode or the episode after I may have finished it, so we can cover it properly then. But for now, Lewin, the ball is in your court.
Okay, so Resident Evil 3, following on from 2018's, I believe it was 2018's Resident Evil 2.
It was 2019.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was last year.
That was a quick turnaround.
Well, yeah, the reason why is because...
I know they were developed practically in tandem, but...
They were developing it at the same time. And I was actually watching a video, which was a spoiler-free review of Resident Evil 3, but it was basically talking about how that originally it's highly possible that originally Resident Evil 2 and 3 weren't meant to be separate games. They were meant to be one experience. But obviously they've released it as a separate title for full price, and it's a lot shorter than Resident Evil 2. So, take with that what you will. But I from what the understanding is, these games were being developed at the same time, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest they were originally meant to be bundled together as one package.
Okay, so changing to my statement, following on from 2019's highly successful remake of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 kind of had very big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7
There's
and
a lot
Resident
of
Evil
hype
2
for it.
have kind of seen a very large return to form for this franchise.
I haven't played much of 7,
7
but
is a very good game. Not as good as
it's on
2,
my
but
list to
it's a
play
very
now. I really want to play it.
Um, 3 doesn't drop the ball. You will see a lot of people screaming that it does. And I think that's just because the major problem with 3 is cut content. Whether that stuff was made to begin with or um, whether
Yeah.
they did actually put it in, then cut it. There is somewhere around the middle of the game, I'll say, there is a point where it feels like there was meant to be more, but
Yeah.
there's not. Whether they're going to
Well, I
expand
do I
things in
do know
DLC or
there's
not, I don't know.
yeah, I do know there's some cut content from the original Nemesis game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a large section. There's new stuff too. Um, a lot of the story is it's like semi the same thing, but a lot of the story is like kind of a retelling kind of way. It's less of a remake, more of a retelling. I feel like if they hadn't said remake, at least 30 to 40% of this blowback wouldn't have happened. Um, it
Yeah.
is compared to Resident Evil 2, and I will put my thoughts out here honestly. I prefer 3 to 2.
Okay.
Kind of an unpopular opinion, but
We're the podcast of unpopular opinions.
much, yeah. Resident Evil 2, right? Great game, brilliant. Gameplay is top tier, and Resident Evil 3 doesn't really change that. The gameplay is the same. The gameplay stays at that level, and that's where it should be. The dodge mechanic, which is new to this game, or repeated from the original, is a breath of fresh air. And when you play as another character, when you play as Carlos, he has a punch instead of a roll, and it does
Right.
actually. They do a good job at differentiating how Carlos and Jill feel. Jill
Yeah.
is more of the Leon Claire type person. You know, the walk around, be careful, it's on these
Yeah.
things. When you play as Carlos, you immediately get an assault rifle. That's that's kind of the difference. You still have to be careful, but you're more packed.
Yeah.
And it works in the favor to differentiate the characters. The characters have beautiful characterization, I will say, probably the best in the franchise. Um, they both feel decently natural as characters, and Carlos, despite being a secondary character, doesn't fall into the trap that um, Claire does in a way.
Mm.
So Claire falls into you can see Claire as a secondary character, right? It's just one of those things.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what order you play the campaigns
Yeah,
into. Because, like, for me, because I played Claire's campaign first, and because, like, I mean, in Resi 2, obviously there's the A and B campaign, and both characters have their own A and B
yeah,
campaign. But because I played Claire A and Leon B, I mean, I'm not gonna say what you're saying. They both feel like main characters, but I will say like I disagree with that in the sense that because I played Claire first, I kind of she's like, and because I experienced everything first, to me, Claire is like the canon playthrough because like this was coming back to like what I was saying to you earlier that like there's a lot of the same scenes as both Leon and Claire
yeah.
in Resident Evil 2 that like just don't make sense to happen to both of them even
Yes,
though the B
that is
campaign is meant to
the
be
major
at the
complaint
same.
about the remake.
Yeah, so for me, Claire, my encounters with those particular encounters with Birkin and stuff, like for me, my canon playthrough is with Claire. So for me, Claire is the main protagonist.
I'm
But
I'm not going to take that away from you. I
but like I get what you're
I
saying.
find
I
that
don't know.
if you look at the comparison between Leon and Claire's campaign feels decently lower scale Leon's like Leon's got the whole thing with fucking super spy, Mr. X turning into a super tyrant, all that shit.
Yeah.
And then he also has Birkin.
Yeah.
Claire has an angry chief, a child, and Birkin.
Yeah. I say Leon's campaign is definitely more action packed.
So when something's more action packed, you tend to sometimes feel that it's meant to be the bigger of the sides.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Like I get it.
Like,
It's
I
okay.
get
It's
that
all
you
good.
played Claire first, and if you play Claire first, it will probably feel like the fresher and normaler of the campaigns. Because I played Leon first, so there we go. But
But like, here's the thing: like, even playing Leon's campaign, and I will give you that. Like, Leon's campaign, even though there's a lot of the stuff the same that I just don't consider happened to Leon, because my canon playthrough they happened to Claire. But like, there's a lot. Like, I still feel like Leon is a protagonist of his own campaign, even if it's the B campaign, because there's a lot of stuff going on with Leon and. Yeah, anyway, we're talking about Resident Evil
yeah,
3. Why are we talking about 2?
okay.
Sorry,
So
my
okay,
bad.
actually,
Keep
this
going.
actually aids a lot in well, say about three, right?
Yeah.
We've just had this argument over what's canon, and it kind of
Yeah.
divides how Resident Evil 2 feels. Because you're like,
Yeah.
this doesn't work. Resident Evil 3 avoids that entirely because it's a linear story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It you can't go, oh yeah, Leon's the way it's meant to be played, or Claire's the way it's meant to be played. Which, thank you for this argument, it helped. Um, when you have a set linear story where they fought it out, put the things in the right place, it comes off far better than the second game did in that regard. I find
Yeah.
the story is slightly more coherent. I'll admit I'm not the best at remembering RE2's story. It isn't really a winner for me.
So I quite enjoy RE2 story, but yeah, it's a lot of like the same things are happening at the same
Mm.
times, but these campaigns are meant to be connected, but the characters aren't at the place at the same time. The biggest thing is the fact that Ada and Sherry need to be rescued from the same place
Yes.
at the same
Yeah.
time, but Leon and Claire never see each other. You never see Sherry. You never see Ada. It's like
So I
they're
feel like I
separate.
know that in the original RE2, um, they had the zapping system where you could play as both characters on separate playthroughs, and then
Yeah,
yada
yeah,
yada
yeah.
yada, it fixed itself. I feel like if RE2 did what RE3 did, and had you play as Leon, then you play as Claire, then you play as Leon, then you play as Claire,
Mm.
like not in separate playthroughs, but one entire playthrough, that
Yeah,
would have been better. And that is what
yeah,
RE3 does very successfully. If
yeah,
RE2 is your suspense thriller, RE3 is very much your action thriller.
yeah. I'm looking forward to play it. Like I've been, don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying RE2 a lot. It's really bringing back a lot of that like same kind of, I guess, experiences that Alien Isolation gives for me.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm definitely pretty keen to play a bit more of an action oriented one.
Nemesis, Nemesis is a bit of a letdown compared to X.
Yeah,
He doesn't follow you everywhere, but the level design also probably wouldn't permit him to follow you everywhere.
yeah.
Level design could do to be a bit better. You may remember the demo.
I did play the demo,
Yes, when we
yes.
talked about that, that is all you'll see of that section.
So that kind of like mechanic, yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of like I've heard it's a lot more like scripted
Yes,
kind of
yes, it is. And
encounters.
in terms of how that makes the game feel, um, it's kind of shit in that regard. Um,
Yeah, I've heard that's the biggest complaint is the whole nemesis.
yep. When he is on screen, he's terrifying.
Yeah,
Especially since when you pump it up to Inferno difficulty, the hardest difficulty, um, every zombie is faster, and that includes him. So if you even aim to pull up your gun, he will probably have taken 5 steps towards you at that point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm definitely not playing that difficulty.
that is when it's the most terrifying of the game. The game the game works better as an action game. Um the scares are less in the environment like 2 was, and
Yeah.
more in the whole shit I can die any moment feeling.
Yeah. Do you know what happened? I was like crawling around the nest as Leon last night.
Mm.
And it's like when you're in like the lounge area where like the like eventually the two liquors appear, right?
Yep.
And so they were on the wall. Now I don't know what happened. The game must have glitched out, but I had my knife out because I'm like, I know, like I realized obviously you move a lot quieter with your secondary weapon out as well, and I know you can kind of like slowly walk, but I had the knife out and I was going to crawl. There was one on either wall, right, and it was kind of one on your way down the hall to the freezing room, right, and so I was going to like crawl, like just get the knife out. They were on the wall, just go between them. But what happened was, one at a time, what happened was one of them would crawl down onto the ground. And it was weird. I think the game glitched out because it would act like it didn't know I was there,
Yep.
but it was following me around. Like literally every time I moved, it kept angling towards me, and when I moved backwards, it just walked towards me. But it would like the way it was acting was it didn't know I was there, but it literally followed me around the place. The other one stayed on the wall. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like this isn't right, because this isn't how these are meant to behave, right? And I was like, it feels like the game glitched out. So anyway, I followed it back because in Leon's campaign, in the B campaign, the server room has a save point.
Yeah.
So I walked all the way back. It just followed me. It didn't attack me. Didn't even register I was there. It was just
Oh, you had a
following me.
friendly liquor. That's nice.
I know it was cute, but I didn't want to do anything because I didn't want it to attack me either. So I was just like still creeping, but it would just follow me everywhere. And then anyway, when I walked into the save room, it just kind of like you heard the sound. It made a sound and just disappeared. And I did. By the way, I didn't even like I wasn't even in the same room for long. I literally walked into the server room and walked back out straight away, and it was just gone. So then I was like, oh, okay. So I walked around and I found it just sitting there in the lounge. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
that's a bit odd. And it just sat there. So then I walked down the other corridor where the other liquor was, and the other liquor did exactly the same thing. It just kind of followed me everywhere, and the other liquor just ignored me. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, this isn't how these are meant to behave. Like, because they weren't registering my existence, but the actual, and like the thing was following me. So I was like, okay, that's a bit odd. And then anyway, eventually I went back to the server room. It did the same thing.
Yeah.
So I walked back out and they were both just standing next to each other in the lounge. So I was like, okay, cool. So I just went on and continued the level because I was like, whatever. You know, they're not a threat to me. Like, they don't even know I'm here and they're kind of just frozen there. But then I came back. They were still in the same spot, but this time they both started acting exactly the same, and they both started following me, but still not registering that I was actually there. So in the end, I was just like, it was creepy. I'm not gonna lie, it was really creepy, and I think it was just a glitch because I'm pretty sure
No,
they weren't meant to do that.
those ones have always attacked me. Um,
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on, but it was fucking weird. And anyway, in the end, I kind of creeped out by it because they were both following me. So I just threw a grenade at them, and they just went poof. And then I threw another grenade, and they both died. And I was like, okay, I'm done with this. But it was a weird experience. Like I would say that was actually just as scary as when I was initially being chased by Mr. X the first time.
just
Like because
thinking that they could
it was
snap around on you at any second.
I was expecting it. But they never did. They just followed me around. It was weird. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, anyway, that's Resident Evil.
Um, so yeah, final thoughts on 3, I'll say. So, objectively worse than 2, subjectively better than 2 for me. Um, it does a few different things with the gameplay every now and again. Um, I'll
Yeah.
give it. This isn't really spoiler. It's the very beginning of the game. Beginning of the game is in a nice first-person segment.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen clips of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives this slightly more cinematic flow to the whole thing. And
Mm.
sometimes I just prefer that in a game. So, free gets marks from me for that, and just for having a more coherent story. Um,
Fair enough.
I will take back what I said about Claire earlier, though, because I think I realized what I mean is you know how Claire and Leon kind of like constantly think the other one needs help.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're both damsels in distress to each other. Um, and yet that never plays in because, like we've said multiple times already, nothing ever joins up. It's the nice feeling about Carlos. Carlos can do his own thing, Jill can do her own thing, and they both mutually respect that they are both adept individuals.
Yeah.
And that's just a nice change of pace compared to every character thinking that the other character needs them there.
Fair enough.
That's what I was going for.
Okay.
Not that
It's all
Claire is
good.
fully secondary, however, my point
Yeah.
about the
No, that's
campaign
alright.
is
I
what I'm
get it.
sticking to there. But yeah,
Now it's time to talk about Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This is a first of our Edgar Wright,
yes.
directed by lovable Edgar Wright. What a gem that man is, I have to say. Just watching him in interviews and things, every time he talks, I'm like, God, you are such a gem. But yeah, this film came out 10 years ago today. Well, not today, but like this
So
year.
it's 6 months
Like,
before that.
yeah. So, 2010, jeez. Wow, how times have changed. Interesting fact, this is actually the second film with Mary Elizabeth Winstead that we've reviewed.
Yes. The other one is
Yes.
vaguely familiar to an Edgar Wright film, just with a lot less finesse.
And so yeah, so that is so yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Now, this film, did you say earlier it was a box office flop?
Apparently.
Hold on, let's bring up the box office. Let's have a look. Let's suss this
Bring this
out.
shit up.
Where's that box office at? Critical reception.
Okay, I'll say. Oh, yeah, okay. Um, its budget was 85 million. It made 48.1 million.
I'm assuming that was the initial worldwide
Yeah, I
box
think
office.
that is the initial worldwide.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a bit of a flop, but like, I mean, oh yeah, yeah. For the USA, well, even just when you look at the gross of the USA alone, it's like a lot less. Opening weekend. I mean, I had a pretty big opening weekend though. But yeah, so it didn't do that well. But you know what? Who cares?
It's great.
Doesn't matter because it's a fucking great movie.
We our first cult classics on our hands.
Yeah, it was seriously such a good film. Like rewatching it recently, like I mean, Edgar Wright's my favorite director, right? So, I mean, there is a bit of bias there, but like, come on, like his films are such high quality.
Oh yeah.
From writing, directing, casting, like this film has a ridiculous cast, like absolutely ridiculous, and a lot of them were before they were really big as well. You've got, we've got a lot of big names. Like we've got,
Yeah.
Mary
Michael
Elizabeth
Cera.
Winstead. Yeah, we've got Michael
Is Cera a
Cera,
big
who's
name by the point of Scott Pilgrim? Is Michael Cera kind
I
of a big name?
he was in a few movies. He was in like what Super Bad, things like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But like in terms of the other cast members, like you got like, Aubrey Plaza, Anna Kendrick, you got Brie Larson in there as well, like a lot of Chris Evans before he was like big, I guess. Like he was in a lot
He was
of
rom-com big, but
he wasn't like
Marvel
big.
big.
Yeah, so this was kind of before that as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he was
would
he
year
was
all the same year.
yeah, he was in Fantastic Four, but like
The best
yeah,
about those films.
yeah, but like there's a lot of great actors in this. This has a really strong cast, and even the actors that I'm not even that familiar with even now post Scott Pilgrim are still really good.
Oh yeah,
Like
everyone pulls their weight in that movie.
like it's such a strong, even like the small roles, like the small little roles that are in this film. Like the characters that play the evil exes, the actors that play the evil
They're all
exes.
great.
They're fantastic. Like Matthew Patel. What a great little sequence that was, especially when he starts like doing the Indian dance
Oh yeah,
bit. But yeah, so basically Scott Pilgrim is the story of, well, Scott Pilgrim. He meets this girl Ramona Flowers, and it's essentially I guess they start dating. I mean, based on what actually happens in the film, I wouldn't really say they actually start dating. Like, they nearly slept together that one time, but then kind of didn't. But yeah, so the Scott Pilgrim, he wants to, like, I guess, yeah, go on a date with Ramona Flowers. They go on a date, and then now all of a sudden he has to fight 7 evil exes,
evil exes, of which
the League of Evil Exes, and that is basically the plot of the film. That's it. But I mean, it's more of a personal character journey for Scott, I guess, as well.
yeah,
Because I mean, Scott's a bit of a dick.
he does.
He's a lovable dick.
But he is.
He's a bit of a dick. Like,
He's a dick
fucking
that way that when someone's so naive slash kind of stupid about the way they're doing things, you kind
yeah.
of pity them for being a dick instead of hating them for it.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim is that. Like, the way he kind of treats knives in this film, where he's just kind of like, and then it all comes back to him at the end as well, which is, again, and there's kind of like that final scene. We're just gonna jump all over the place with spoilers with this because whatever the fuck. But yeah, so like he leaves Knives for Ramona, and obviously that has a big kind of effect throughout the film with Knives' character, but it all kind of comes ahead to it at the end when like Knives joins him to fight. What's the guy's name?
Hold up, I've still got the cast.
Gideon Graves.
Yes.
So it's like Gideon Graves, has like a mind control little chip on like Ramona. So then like Knives fights Ramona, all that kind of stuff. But like it's in that bit where it all comes to a head, and you kind of just see the naivety of the kind of, I guess, disconnect that Scott has, where
when he gets called out for cheating.
Yeah, he gets called out for cheating, and his response is like, "Well, no, I cheated on Knives with you."
And then they're like, "What's the difference?" And he's like, "You didn't get hurt by it?" And you're like, "Oh, Scott, you idiot."
Scott, my man, come on, man. But yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like a big realization point. And then like, I mean, the film is very cliche in its kind of resolution for the character, in the sense that it's like, I've been fighting all the evil exes, but I've got to fight myself. And it's very on the nose, but that's the point too. Yeah. Like, it's very much it's not just a visual metaphor of him like fighting himself.
Satire of every romantic comedy up until that point. And it's also like the underdog story, where the underdog has to realize what's wrong, and then this movie decides to just fucking toss that on its head by having the main character, the underdog, talk to himself and go get a fucking coffee.
I love that. Yeah, they're like, "Hey, yeah, he's real nice. We're gonna go get brunch next week."
Yeah, next week. I'm like, this is not how anything would ever be expected to go.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of this film.
Yeah, this film is very. It's definitely not what it's. It's a very stylized comic booky film, and like I know it's based on a graphic novel, but like, it is very much a film that kind of takes place in its own heightened reality, where just things, just work. There's no real rules. It just kind of is.
Everyone just accepts what's going on. It's
Yeah, exactly. But this film's very good. Yeah, like the plot's very basic, but like it's not really about the plot.
you
It's
don't
more
need
about
this movie to have a complex plot.
it's not really about it. It's more about kind of Scott's journey, but like it's just about the sequences. It's just about getting us from one cool part of the film to the next.
Yes.
And this film has such great fight sequences.
Yes.
They're so unique and so great. Like my favorite one is the bass battle with
The bands at the end with the twins.
no, the bass battle between Scott and Brandon Routh's character, the vegan,
Oh, yes.
where they're like battling with the bass. It's like he
Yeah.
knocks him through the wall, and then you just hear the bass. It's just dum 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 dum. And then he just like floats in with his bass, and then they start just riffing each other. It's great. I love that.
This film is very unique in its style. To the point where I watched it this morning, as I told you earlier. It's not really like anything you will ever see again or saw before it. The way the visuals pop up around things, like the very first example of it, I think, is when the phone's ringing at the beginning of the movie, and like it just has like the cloudy words going ring ring appearing around, and like the whole comic book video game little pop-ups. They're put so perfectly in.
Yeah, and it's all those elements are kind of treated as part of the world as well. Like it's not just like a editing thing for comedic effect. It's actually like treated. But also this from an editing perspective, this film has a very unique editing style as well. A lot of the similar tricks that Edgar Wright is known for with how he shoots, directs, and how the films are edited. But this film just seems to turn those things up to like 11 with everything, like the way scenes transition from one scene to another. There's always that like connecting piece, like sometimes it'll be, something Scott will say, like say with the date with Ramona or whatever, where it's like, and it just pops up with like the text saying later on or whatever, and then, turns down. Or just kind of like my favorite bit is when he's doing like the big action hero bit where he's like getting ready to go get Ramona back, and then like the whole movie just pauses so he could do his shoelace.
Oh, yeah.
And then it keeps going. Or just like the end of the transitions between to kind of show time progressing between one thing or another. Like, he'll say one thing in one scene and then it will just immediately cut to the next thing where he's like, like, oh, this sucks. And,
Yeah.
It's a really well edited film. And very unique. Like, it's definitely something you don't
transitions
see a lot.
Those transitions were they're in the same position they were in the last scene, and then it cuts to the next scene.
It's a match cut.
A match cut. I love the way Edgar Wright does match cuts.
He does them really well.
You see for his films, and I love them every time. They're one of my favorite kinds of transitions.
Yeah, and it's a lot to pull off as well, because like from a technical standpoint, but when it's pulled off, it works really well. And match cuts is something I haven't really attempted to do myself, but I've seen people do them at film school, and it kind of a lot of the time doesn't work. And I mean, I put that down to the fact that they really weren't putting in, like, they're all students and they don't know how to effectively make it work. But Edgar Wright is someone who really knows how to make it work. And Edgar Wright is someone who really, when he's writing the film, I feel like he's editing the film as he's writing it. Like, he's writing it, he kind of like how I write my films, as I write them the way I'm picturing I'm going to edit it in my head. And a lot of his films rely on the editing specifically.
Yes.
So, yeah, but this one just turns everything up to 11. It's amazing. I really love the over-the-top performances, the kind of camp performances in this film. But, like, it's a stylistic camp. It's not like, oh, this is actually just kind of cheesy and kind of bad. It's like, no, this actually works perfectly.
Pretty much every one of the evil exes falls into
Every
that
evil exes.
category.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans is beautiful in this movie.
Chris Evans, the way he kind of, like, it's his voice and, how he kind of just plays that role. It seems like he's having a lot of fun with it.
He's your classic fucking mid-2000s action guy. And he puts it up to 11, and he does that beautifully.
Yeah, I love the things like he's like my favorite line is like when he's like, yeah, sometimes I let him do the wide shots when I feel like getting blazed in my Winnie. It's great. I just love, yeah, and like each fight is so unique. Like, you've got the base battle, but then his fight isn't, they like have their little fight bit. But I also love, like, he fights all his stunt doubles. There's the kind of, obviously there's the big battle of the bands with the twins.
Yeah.
Where there's like the giant fucking
Amp versus Amp.
Yeah, there's like that kind of thing. But I kind of really love how, like, I wouldn't say subtle it is, but like there's all the smaller comedic moments where it'd just be like, like a quick pan of the camera, like a whip pan to something. A lot of the time when, Scott's talking about, his exes or whatever, and talks about, what's her name? Kim. And like you just cut to a shot of Kim just staring at him. And it's just great. One of my favorite sequences is at the party. And this is actually something I really love is how Edgar Wright uses lighting. It's the sequence where he's talking to Julie, Aubrey Plaza's character. And like Julie's like saying, do not go and ask Ramona Flowers out. And you just see the lights. Like, the way the lighting works is, like, all the background lights go to black, but then you've got the key light on Aubrey Plaza. And then you cut to Scott, and he's the same. And then after, like, he's made the point, and he's just kind of like, oh, yeah, you just hear... the way all the lights in the room come back on. First, you get the little fairy lights on the wall come on for a brief moment before the rest of the lights come on. And they're like, that's kind of, like, what I mean. Like, it doesn't take place in this realistic world. It's kind of like one of those things where you, like, it's kind of part of the world. Like, as soon as she goes into that mode, just everything around her stops. And like, it's not just like a stylistic choice. It's like it's kind of part of the world, and that's what gives this world such, like, the world itself is such its own character because of the little things like that, like the little the little lighting touches. I love that scene. I love that so much. And I also love later on when, like, when she's swearing in the coffee shop.
Yes.
And, like, it's just bleeping her out.
The coffee shop on relation
like,
to the whip.
How are you doing that with your mouth? Never mind how I'm fucking doing it. It's
great. The beginning that when he calls his sister, and she's like, I just started work. He's like, I'm coming.
I'm just leaving, yeah.
Oh, I'm just leaving. He goes in, and he goes to talk to his sister, and turns around, it's Aubrey Plaza. And he's like, what'd you do with my sister? And then it whips to the...
yeah, whips to the window.
And her just pointing, saying she needs to go. And then it goes straight to Aubrey Plaza, railing into him for asking out Ramona.
Yeah, well, it's like I loved a bit where he's like, "Wait, you work here too, or whatever?" And it's like, "Yeah, they're called jobs." It's just kind of they're called jobs. Now, what can I fucking get you?
Okay, are you doing that thing with your mouth?
Yeah, and then it's like, so I'll just get my coffee over here, and then of course he turns and Ramona's just standing right there. But I love this whole scene for not just the first part, but the bit with Ramona, because then, like, I love the shot of when it looks over to the poster of what's
Nat, was it?
Natalie. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what her actual name is. Oh fuck, I've forgotten. Envy, I think.
Envy. Yep.
Envy.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it cuts to Envy, and she's like in the same position as the poster,
Yes.
but then she's like actually physically there, and she just like steps forward. And I absolutely, I mean, look, say what you will about Brie Larson, but I absolutely love her performance in this film.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. I don't have an issue with Brie Larson. Um,
yeah,
this is just such a fun role for everyone, and she
everyone's
really
having a lot of fun
yeah,
with this, and she commits to that real like bitchy ex role, like just from the way she talks and everything, and the like. It's such a well written, well directed, and all the cast is so just giving it everything. And one thing, I was gonna say something, I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, I was listening to another podcast recently, Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and he had Brandon Routh on.
yep,
And they were kind of talking about, like Superman and Legends of Tomorrow and all that. But like, I think Michael asked him the question, like, like, have there been any roles that you've had, obviously, besides the big Superman gig and, all your stuff on the DC TV shows and whatnot. Is there any role you kind of love? And he kind of said, like during that kind of period of time post Superman where he wasn't really sure what was going on, like, he was very careful about what kind of roles he picked, and he was talking about how his brief, because even though his role in the film is very short, he was kind of talking about his experience on Scott Pilgrim and how much he loved, playing, how much fun he had playing that role. I kind of love that his powers that he gets comes from being vegan.
yes. Um, that's one of my favorite sequences in the film, and when you brought up the ex, Brie Larson acting like the ex bitch girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's that scene between the two of them and Ramona and Scott that I think of primarily.
Yeah.
With them
It's like,
sitting across from each other, both of their exes there.
yeah, and they're just kind of. I love the tension at the start of the scene where it's like where like Brandon Routh's like Ramona or whatever, and they're like, yeah, hi, and they're just all kind of just awkwardly staring there. But I love Aubrey Plaza just onto the side next to that. It keeps being like, I guess she's working as like their stage manager or something, I guess. But then you have Knives. So like the bit that gets me every time is a bit where Brandon Routh just gets up and just fucking punches the highlights out of Knives' hair.
And fucking
Neil. It's
Neil
like
runs over to her. And he's like, he punched the highlights out of her hair. He punched the highlights out of her hair.
it's like such a dramatic moment. And I just love his response. He's like, oh, I'm not afraid to hit a girl. Sits down, puts his arms around Brie Larson. It's like, I'm a rock star.
And that's another one of those examples of the comedic editing just kind of being a part of the world. People just accept that you can punch the highlights out of someone's hair.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a thing that happens in this film. Another great character, this is a character that doesn't get talked about a lot with this film, but it's Scott Pilgrim's housemate,
Yeah,
Wallace.
Wallace is great.
Wallace is fantastic. Like, I love, how he's just, again, coming to how just everything's just accepted in this world. He just accepts just everything. Like the bit with Chris Evans where he's like, Evil X, fight. and
Yeah.
and then like he at the end, like he comes up and gives him the skateboard and he's like, hey, big fan. And Chris is like, yeah, well, why wouldn't you be?
It's weird because he's like both the straight edge character of the movie and not. Because a lot of the things that everyone else accepts, he weirdly calls out. Like, okay, in a movie where everything is stylized, you'd fully expect the mail to arrive. Like when Scott ordered something through the mail,
Yeah.
you'd fully expect it to arrive the same day with the way everything else has been going.
Yeah.
And it just cuts to Scott sitting at the door, and Wallace is like, are you waiting for the package that you just ordered?
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like, and then it's, yeah, and then I
The
love that
doorbell
because...
rings, And Scott's like, it's
You were
here.
saying?
And opens it
Yeah.
and it's just knives. And you're like,
Yeah.
completely subverted expectations.
It's just the way this film, yeah, the way it's shot and cut together. It's just incredible.
Mm.
I haven't read. Have you ever looked at the source material?
I was thinking about doing it today, but then I did not.
No, I've never looked at the source material, so I mean, I can't really comment on what this film is like compared to that.
Do like
But
the little comic snapshots that happen throughout the movie.
oh yeah, whenever Ramona's telling us the backstory
Yeah.
between her and her ex,
Yep, and it pops up with the comic style of it. And I think it also
yeah,
does it once for Scott, which is also one of my favorite little moments when he's talking to Wallace and he goes to the either the bathroom or the cupboard or something and leans
yeah,
against the side and he's talking about it and the little head, like the comic head, pops up in the darkness and he's like,
yeah.
I did this, and then the voice is like, he didn't. And then he swapped over to the other side, and it's the darkness on that side, and it does the whole thing again. I like that little bit.
Yeah, I love how I kind of love. Oh god, I completely just lost what I was gonna say. There was something I was gonna say and I just forgot what it was. Never mind. We'll come back to it when I remember it. But yeah, like I mean, it's such an interesting film. It's got a great fucking soundtrack.
Oh yeah, it's
Like
is it all? It's I mean some of it's taken from video games, but
some of it is, yeah.
is the rest of it all made for movie?
There's like a lot of like because I'm looking at it now. There's a lot of contributions from a lot of various bands, and I believe the original order had of the author had like playlists for each of the comics,
That's kind of cool.
something like that. But yeah, he tried to find a real band for each of the fictional band's sounds, as kind of like to inspiration. I mean, the biggest thing is obviously the song that Envy Adams sings. Like that's like the big, I guess, song, The Clash at Demon Head, and the song's called Black Sheep, which was. Oh, fuck, who's the band? I can't remember who the band is, but yeah, there's like a version of that with Brie Larson, which is the one you see in the film, and then there's also a version which is sung by the band, and I have to say, like the Brie Larson, version's a lot better. It sounds a lot better than what the version on the set, because the version on the soundtrack isn't the Brie Larson version. It's the another one performed by Emily Haynes. Which is done by a band called Metric, I think. I think that's their name. But yeah, there's a lot, and then there's a lot of other stuff like the songs with Matthew Patel. You've got the other, like kind of the band, the Clash of the Band stuff. The songs that obviously Scott and his band do throughout the film.
It was some of them Scott's band, Sex Bomb. I think a lot of that was
Sex
Beck.
Bombs.
Like the actual
Yeah.
singer-songwriter Beck.
Yeah, it is, yeah. A lot of it was back. My favorite is the other band, the fucking emo band.
Did
Where
you
it's
mean the
like-
one that Wallace keeps shouting at the first one?
Yeah. And then they're like I can't remember what the song was called, but they're like, oh, this is our song. And it just
hate
like
you and I
it's
want-
like
the second one was I hate you and I want you to die, I think.
yeah, I hate you and I want you
Dedicated
to
it
die.
to Wallace up in the stand.
And I love his reaction. He's like, "Oh, great! I love this one." I love what I love about Wallace is my favorite character trait of him is not the fact that he's gay, but the fact that the little character piece that he for some reason keeps turning every single one of Anna Kendrick's characters' boyfriend's gay, because you just look at that scene and he looks around and she looks around and her boyfriend's just making out with Wallace.
I like how that all comes to a front later in the film when you have the scene of Scott lying in bed talking to another guy, and the other guy's
Yeah.
leaning up in bed, and then another guy pops up between him and the other guy, and then Wallace walks up, and they're all giving Scott advice from the same bed.
Yeah, it's crazy because the bed's not even that big. I love how like Scott and Wallace just live in this weird like fucking apartment
Yeah,
thing.
it's like a fucking house underneath like a park staircase.
Yeah, and weirdly, do what's weird. My favorite thing is when is it Knives who turns up? Or no, it's Ramona turns up and is like, "Hey, is Scott here?" And Wallace is like, "No,
No,
he
that was
just."
Knives. I
It was Knives. Oh yeah, no, that was Knives. That's right.
Now
Yeah,
shows up,
and
and
he
Wallace
just
is
like
like, "Is Scott
dives out
here?"
the window.
And you see Scott run off to the right, and then Wallace is like, "He just left," and you just see Scott dive through the window, and then you can see in the unfocused part of the camera, you can see a blue blur go past the back of
Yeah.
Knives.
And like Knives weirdly is aware of it too because she looks over like in the direction that
Yeah,
Scott's
but
walking.
then at the end of the scene, she's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, okay.
She just
In
accepts
that,
that he never was there.
it's such a great
Oh
film.
yeah.
But yeah, it won some awards as well. Was nominated for a lot. So like
Oh,
in total, it was nominated for about 59 awards.
bloody hell.
It actually won 19 awards.
Good on it.
Over across 2010 and 2011. It did actually win an award in 2012 as well.
Good on it.
From the a fabulous film for young adults from the American Library Association in 2012. So well done. That is like the peak of achievement right there. But yeah, it was nominated for a lot of awards. From various film festivals and awards shows and things like that. It was nominated for Best Edited Feature Film. It didn't win that, but it was nominated for it. A lot of the awards that it's been nominated for is things like Best Picture or Best Director or Best, I guess Best like comedy, that kind of thing. But in terms of the ones that it won, I'm gonna go through the list here. So it won, it got an honorable mention at the awards circuit, community awards, whatever that is. But it was also nominated for several other awards at that event for best achievement in visual effects and adapted screenplay. It won best music in a film at the Golden Schmoes. Won best underrated movie of the year. Won best comedy of the year. Won best biggest surprise of the year. It won Best Original Song at the Houston Film Critics Society Awards for We Are Sex Bomb by Beck. What else did it win? It won to one of the. It was in Top Films of the Year from the New York Film Critics Online, the San Diego Film Critics. It actually won Best Editing, and was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay as well for that. Won Best Film, Musical or Comedy at the Satellite Awards. Michael Cera won Best Actor for Musical or Comedy. It won the St. Louis Film Critics Association Best Comedy Film. What else has it won? Then that's in 2010, 2011. It won Best. Edgar Wright got Best Film Director at the Comedy Awards. Also got Best Director for Empire Awards for that year. Italian online. No, hang on. No, sorry. The Online Film and Television Association gave it Best Title Sequence. Got Best Film Director again for the SFX Awards, and also won at the Scream Awards. Got Best Comic Book Movie as well as Best Fight Scene of the Year for the fight between Scott Pilgrim, Knives, and Gideon Graves. And also won a Webby Award as well. So it's won quite a few of awards, and a lot of them are very much the same kind of thing, like Best Editing, Best Director, that kind of thing.
In regards to the best actor in musical comedy for Michael Cera, I will give him a massive amount of credit for I don't think anyone else could have done Scott the way he did it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine any other actor playing that role.
He
Like,
has that weird awkwardness to him. We all love
yeah,
Sarah for it, and it pays off amazingly with the way Scott's meant to be in this film.
yeah, definitely.
So he definitely deserved that best actor because he did a great job in the film. Everyone, as we've said, everyone did a great job in the film.
Huh. Interesting. They began doing test shoots for this film during the casting process in June and July of 2008, where he was... Yeah, so there was like a year of preparation, which is pretty standard. Usually is a year of pre-production before usually they start shooting. But interesting fact is he stopped working on his Ant-Man screenplay for 2 years to make this film.
And we all know the history of Ant-Man.
We all know how Ant-Man took God.
I like Ant-Man, but I would have far more liked...
An Edgar Wright Ant-Man would have been so much fucking better. But yeah, so there's it's definitely a fun little movie, and yes. I would say, I don't know, there's not really much more to say about it other than it's a fucking good time.
The musical cues are brilliant. This is something you'll notice. I think the next major movie where you notice the musical cues will be Baby Driver, obviously. Like, that movie relies on music a lot. Just like this one did. This one makes a lot more sense for it to rely on music because they're in a band. I did just want to bring up that one of my favorite musical cues is like one of the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Beginning, when it's pans down on the house, and you can hear the wake up theme from Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time playing.
Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs and things like that in this film. There's really a lot going on, and you could really sit down and break it apart and kind of look at all of the various different aspects.
And I did just read something in production of it. Apparently during the production, I'm really happy they didn't go this route. Where the fuck? Hold on, I just need to get back to it. It's about the ending of the film. They had as a what's the word for it when someone helps you with, like, the main writer helps you with things. Like the author of the comics was a consult on the film.
Yeah.
And apparently one of the original endings was going to be that Scott was actually a serial killer and all the video game stuff was in his head.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And like in one regard I can see it working, but in the other regard, I think that one of the most fantastic parts of the film is that everyone accepts the video game shit as reality.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying. Like, it's very much, like I said, the way this film is kind of edited, and that it's very much part of the world.
It needs to be for everything to come together.
Yeah, it's not just like a stylistic choice. It's like, no, this is a real, well, not real world, but like a world choice.
This world works.
Yeah, exactly. It's
if you were to turn around at the end and go, yeah, this was all in Scott's head, I would be just a little bit let down by it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but there's a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of stuff, and we kind of talked about them a little bit. But there's so much. God, so much shit. This film has layers.
Yeah, this film's probably the hardest of all of his to break down because there's a lot going on in this film.
There is, but it is a good time, and I'm really like it's actually one of my favorite films to revisit. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna
It's
get
real
sick of
fun.
watching it.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes you have to work yourself out. I think the hardest of his films for me to watch is Shaun of the Dead, which is weird because I love Shaun of the Dead. Um, but sometimes you gotta be in the mood for a cop movie or a zombie movie or whatever.
Yeah,
This is one of
definitely.
those movies where it doesn't have like a set guideline on genre outside of video game.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
I can just sit down and watch it whenever. It's relatively short, an hour and 47, 57 minutes, something like that.
yeah, it's about that. Like it didn't take too long to watch it.
No. So it's one of those pop in the disc, or it's sadly not available on any streaming sites in Australia. Thank you, everyone.
Used to be on Netflix,
Yeah, I
but
know
it's
it
not
did.
on there
That's how I
anymore.
watched it a while back, but no, I've had to rent it on PSN the last couple of times.
Yeah,
Um,
I've got a Blu-ray of it, so
I give it
I'm
a
still good.
solid 8.
Oh yeah, hold on. This is your bullshit rating.
Damn straight, 8.756.23 out of 10.
8.756.23.
Out of 10.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It means it's almost a 9.
Nah, it's definitely like I would say out of all the bullshit ratings that anyone could possibly give any film ever, that's probably the most accurate. But that's how we roll here. We do the bullshit ratings because fuck ratings are bullshit anyway. So just listen to the review. Who cares what the rating is? Anyway, you know what? It's all good. Scott Pilgrim, what a fun film.
Yes.
What Edgar Wright film should we do next?
I think we should move into the Cornetto trilogy. Say Baby Driver for last, because it is kind of the...
Yeah, I think we'll say Baby Driver because that was like his last one. Should we do the Cornetto trilogy as separate episodes or should we do it all as one?
We could probably really easily pad out an entire episode with the Cornetto trilogy. But at the same time, we can do more of a lead-in if we separate it.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I guess we'll wait to see. I guess what other stuff we do, but I think the thing with the Cornetto trilogy is there's a lot of very similar elements that it's easier to talk about it as one rather than separate.
Like shared
But
actors, like shared motifs, all that stuff.
yeah, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, we might do that next. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. It was a good fun revisiting this movie, and I don't know if it's my favorite Edgar Wright film.
No, mine's Hot Fuzz.
Okay, mine's Shaun of the Dead, followed by Baby Driver because I really love Baby Driver. And then Hot Fuzz, then Scott Pilgrim. Although actually, now that I think about it, no, yeah, that's the order I'd put it in.
Fair enough. It's
Yeah,
the good.
and then World's End. World's End's in last place. Not that it's a bad movie,
No,
it's just not the
thing
best
about
one.
ranking Edgar Wright's films is even if something's lower than the other, you're never offended that someone put it low. You're just like, oh, everything else is just that good.
Well, anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Unless there's anything else you want to say about it,
No, I think we're good.
because I just said we just fucking watch Scott Pilgrim. It's like I said to you when I said, "Hey, we're gonna do Scott Pilgrim this episode," and you're like, "Oh yeah, it gives me an excuse to watch it." I'm like, as if you need an excuse to watch Scott Pilgrim. You don't need an
You don't need
excuse.
an excuse.
You just watch it.
So, what's next?
Speaking of that though, it was a good excuse to rewatch the film.
I rewatched it twice in a week, so
Yeah, good on ya. But yeah, so that I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. So next episode, we're gonna be kind of moving away from video gamey stuff, I guess, considering the last few episodes have been, or last two episodes have been very video game. Because even Scott Pilgrim is
a classic games episode. What's next?
Yeah, so we're going to be moving away, and we're going to be hopping on to Disney Plus next episode, and we're going to be checking out Mandalorian.
What's the next episode of Mandalorian?
Next episode's The Mandalorian.
I will get
so you better hurry up and finish it.
it on that.
I need to rewatch the entire thing, so that's fine. But I'll take a break from Doctor Who for a week, and I'll just smash out the 10 episodes again, so we can do the recording. But I thought we'd also just talk a little bit about Star Wars in general as well. We'll just make a kind of Star Warsy themed episodes, and it's very topical. We've got the conclusion to Clone Wars coming up, which we won't be talking about because
I'm like 6 seasons behind. I cannot talk.
Yeah, and I haven't actually watched the last season yet. I'm waiting for it to be all out so I can binge it.
Which
But
May
that's kind of
for anyone
yeah.
interested.
Oh my god, we should upload the episode on May the 4th.
That's a very high.
That just makes fucking sense, doesn't it? Okay, so this is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to hurry up and watch Mandalorian, record it beforehand so it can be up on May the 4th.
Did we intentionally
Alright?
plan this, or did this just kind of happen?
No, I only just realized it when you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, fuck, that's right. So yeah, okay, we'll do that then. We'll do a May the 4th episode.
Star Wars Day episode. There we go.
Star Wars Day episode. We'll talk some Star Wars, but the main purpose is to review Mandalorian.
Yes.
We'll talk about that.
We can jump into some other stuff.
Yeah.
Mandalorian shouldn't take too long.
We won't talk about Star Wars. Like, we'll talk about Star Wars as a whole, but we'll just be kind of more broad with it. We won't be like, oh, let's go through the movies.
Trilogy. That's not what this will be.
Yeah, it's just going to be just a general broad Star Wars discussion and Mandalorian review, basically.
So, summarize everyone's feelings now, if we want to get that out of the way. Sequels bad, prequels now good.
Sequels bad, prequels bad, originals good. I also disagree with that, but you know what? Here we are.
True, that's just how the internet feels.
Ah, no, that's right. Yeah, no. The internet is wrong.
I fully agree there.
Anyway, but yeah, that's what we're doing next episode. And again, that's just to kind of fill in for the fact that there's nothing new coming out. And Last of Us isn't coming out anymore, so we could still do Last of Us though afterwards. I think we'll still do a Last of Us episode. We might do. Yeah, Last of Us got delayed. I mean, do the first one.
Oh, right, yeah, makes sense.
We can do the first one instead of
I'm
the second one.
up to date with what we're doing. Don't worry, everyone else.
Look, to be honest, I'm not even up to date to what we're doing because it could bloody change like that.
Thank you, 20. You're keeping us well fit.
Yeah, it's great. What a year to start the podcast. We should have started the podcast last year. We would have been much more consistent on things.
Oh, yeah. But
anyway.
2020. Here's to 10 more years.
Oh, God. All right, anyway, so, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So, this episode, unfortunately, like the last two episodes, is only going to be available on YouTube. So if you did enjoy it, subscribe to my channel, because it's on my channel. Subscribe, and you'll get more episodes coming soon. Don't worry, they'll be back up on Spotify eventually. I don't know when, but eventually. I'm hoping probably around... Yeah, I'm hoping probably around May at some point I can get them back up. I believe the first 3 episodes are still up on Spotify. I don't think they took them down.
Check that out now.
Yeah, have a quick look. I can have a quick look, see if they're... I don't know, they were there the last time I checked, but, I mean, I could be wrong now, but, yeah, eventually we'll be getting them back up on Spotify and stuff like that. But, yeah, so, yeah, definitely, if you liked it, leave a like, and, yeah, subscribe if you want more of the podcast. I've also got plenty of other content on my channel as well. By the time this comes out... Yeah, okay, sweet. So, I've just uploaded... by the time this comes out, I've got my Shadow of the Tomb Raider video, I've got a Battlefront 2 video that I made, and by the time this comes out, I should have my Tomb Raider Legend playthrough, which, funny thing about that video, Lewin, is it's me playing Tomb Raider Legend with a broken controller.
Oh,
so
we had that discussion.
Yeah, so that's fun. So that will probably be up by the time this episode's out, but yeah, lots of exciting things coming up. And yeah, if you want to follow me, you can follow me. The social media I use is Instagram. I have my film one, which is what's it called? At Be White Film, and then I also have a gaming one at Rebel Croft, where I went on a massive rant about the Tomb Raider fan base recently on that account. So that was fun.
Me, I don't have social media that anyone can access, or if I do find any of you, me, I will call the police.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think that pretty much just wraps it up. So yeah,
we weren't sponsored this episode.
No, but there is a new mobile game we could be sponsored by.
Rise of Kingdoms?
I can't remember what it's fucking called. There was something to do with farming or some bullshit. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. If anybody wants us to get sponsored by anyone, please help. We need it.
Yeah, we could do another sponsored review. Another not sponsored review of something to try and get a sponsorship.
And helped Raid out, and they didn't give us anything in return.
Raid didn't give us shit. Fuck Raid Shadow Legends. I actually have been still playing it a little bit here and there, but
Find
Yeah.
out more about that at Christmas when we just completely relapse to what we've done before.
Revisiting Raid 1 year later.
Perfect. I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. That's it. Take us out.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching. I have been Lewin, joined by the actual host Ben. Um, Everybody have a good night and stay safe in these trying times.